Welcome to my laboratory. I'm DrScreams, and I've got a very important question for my class today. If I watch every single Insane Clown Posse movie, am I a juggalo? Maybe. Hustlers, rustlers, thrusters, road rash, and the boogie woogie woo, all wrapped up with a march on Washington. Clown Posse cinema is pretty insane. From the Big Money trilogy to several juggalo documentaries and one movie that wasn't even made. This catalog of cinematic masterworks is sure to have you painting your face and throwing whoop-whoops at your neighbor in no time. So grab your hatchet, a case of Faygo, and head with me to Fawn's Pond. It's chicken hunting time. You might even learn how magnets work. So, who or what is ICP? ICP stands for Insane Clown Posse. ICP also stands for Incredibly Comfortable Pants. Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope are two of the most self-stated, feared and hated rappers on the planet, having turned their hip-hop into its own thing, creating one of the biggest fandoms of all time. These Detroit bad boys arrived on the scene as gangster rappers, calling themselves JJ Boys and Inner City Posse. They soon transformed into the most infamous horrorcore group in music history, changing their name to what we know now, Insane Clown Posse, and exploding onto the world arena in the late 80s. Yup, these granddaddy ninjas have been around for a long-ass time. Insane Clown Posse is older than DrScreams. Can you believe that? Otherwise known as Joseph and Joey Osler, the duo have created a rich mythology revolving around the Dark Carnival. What's the Dark Carnival? A series of concept albums and music videos featuring the two performers in their clown makeup, which they're never seen without. Maybe that's probably for the best. Is that for the best? Maybe. Founding the independent music label Psychopathic Records, this pair of court gestures have sold millions of records. They changed the merch game, and they've inspired over 100,000 fans to follow them down the yellow brick alleyway. Their live performances and brash personalities make them perfect for the big screen, though their cinematic output isn't gonna make the Criterion Collection anytime soon. Several of their movies have become true cult classics, seeping deep into the pop consciousness in a major way. Without a doubt, there is no denying it, these clowns are legendary in their own mind. In their own right. Okay, now some of you may be asking, what is a juggalo? Well, let me tell you. Juggalo is the name ICP has bestowed on their most loyal fans. Whoop whoop is their disco call as they douse each other with Faygo soda. They've been classified as a gang by the FBI, a label the band has fought tooth and nail to overcome. They converge at the annual Gathering of the Juggalos, a 5-day festival that celebrates psychopathic artists, like-minded comedy acts, and all types of circus-themed freak shows. Violent J calls it a Juggalo Woodstock. The term juggalo comes from the ICP song The Juggler and was first uttered in 1994 live on stage by Violent J, while referencing those in attendance. The affectionate nickname stuck, and the band has called themselves, their label mates, and their admirers juggalos and juggalettes ever since. Juggalo cinema has become a unique genre in its own right, which first infected video stores as far back as 1995 with a mostly forgotten slasher flick called The Fear. ICP had little to do with their first foray into cinema. This mid-90s VHS oddity was about a wooden man named Morty terrorizing a group of students at a fear clinic. Talk about your wooden acting. It's a strange psychological experiment that quickly goes off the rails. Jay and Shaggy aren't even in the movie. Their song Dead Body Man is on the soundtrack, so what makes it an Insane Clown Posse movie? The Fear launched ICP's career as soundtrack composers, making this a de facto entry in the Juggalo film canon. Director Vincent Robert was one of the first to recognize the cinematic genius hiding within ICP's music catalog. We do get one proto-Juggalo in the movie, who's both the villain and the comic relief, but he doesn't make it to end credits. Do I identify with the guy? Absolutely not. I give this movie a C for crazy, as in I'm not that crazy about it. The fear leads us directly into ICP's first of many rock docs. Believe it or not, Disney signed ICP in 1997 only to pull their album from store shelves the day of release due to the music's graphic nature. That's perhaps the most shocking revelation in shockumentary. It's the first real Insane Clown Posse movie to feature Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope on screen. It was released on VHS and later shown on MTV as a quasi-infomercial. Shockumentary captures the iconic clowns during their meteoric rise to becoming one of the most notorious and despised bands of all time. It also captured Juggalos in their infancy as a fan group. It is an intriguing 90s era scrapbook. I learned about Jay and Shaggy's early gang affiliations. A huge chunk of the movie is devoted to their love of Faygo soda and its place in their iconography. And we see ICP's roots in wrestling. The doc even shows how ICP changed the merch game in the 90s with tactics that have been adopted by today's top artists. I mean, we gotta give these bad boys credit for something. The movie also indoctrinated me into their earlier music, with full music videos for Chicken Huntin', Piggy Pie, Hocus Pocus, and The Great Malenko. Overall, this movie is pretty crusty. I definitely felt like I needed to wash my hands after watching this sticky mess. It made me want to live inside a hot shower for days. The big takeaway is that ICP definitely love their fans. This one gets a B for I need a bath ASAP. Hey Scrumps, why don't you heat up that water for me? Following this well-received documentary, Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope entered a bigger cinematic world with Big Money Hustlers. It's not exactly Brian De Palma's Scarface, but it is ICP's first foray into acting. Though released in 2000, it's still a big hit when shown at The Gathering. It is basically a Juggalo Rocky Horror Picture Show. Whoop whoop. ICP stars in this music-infused gangsta comedy paying tribute to their inner-city posse roots. It is also a tribute to Dolomite, complete with a cameo from Rudy Ray Moore himself, who doesn't necessarily look like he knows what movie he's in. The film wallows in a cheap 70s aesthetic, yet does hold a certain dirt-clawed charm around its cardboard edges. Harlan Williams definitely steals this show as a cop called, hey class cover your ears, Officer Harry Cox. Twisted's Jamie Madrox and Monoxide show up. Other notable cameos include the Jerky Boys, who had to shoot their scenes separately due to an ongoing feud, WWE superstar Nick Foley, and sitcom legend Fred Rerun Barry. To legitimize the whole thing, the Misfits even show up for a quick second. Yes, really. Forget about how magnets work, it's a miracle Big Money Hustlers happened at all. This Z-grade Troma-esque enterprise was plagued with problems from the word jump. Most of the film crew hated ICP and their Juggalo antics, going on strike twice during production. The project went way over budget, with Violent J spending $100,000 of his own money to keep things moving. It definitely paid off in the end. Big Money Hustlers debuted at #1 on Billboard's top music video charts. 2 years later, a soundtrack was released. It only took the movie 9 years to go platinum. Despite all the chaos swirling around it, I give Big Money Hustlers a solid A-. I had a lot of fun watching this. I hate to admit it, but it did make me feel a little juggalo-ish. Kids, am I a juggalo? Not yet. Hey, juggalo-ish, maybe that could be Kenya Barris's next sitcom. Putting Big Money Hustlers in their rear-view mirror, Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope wouldn't return with a proper full-length sequel for another decade. What they did in the interim is pretty wild. Insane Clown Posse bootlegged in LA. Following in the long dark shadow of Big Money Hustlers, ICP released their first official concert film, Bootlegged in LA, which looks like it was shot on an inner tube while floating down raging rapids. The video quality is bad, the sound is atrocious. It's all low rent, just the way these clowns like it. This was shot in Los Angeles on Valentine's Day 2003. I can only imagine what it must have been like to take your crush to get crushed in the mosh pit and then sprayed with 1,000 liters of Faygo soda. This is mostly background music. There isn't a lot of rewatch value here, not for me. The highlight, they do sing Homies. How can you not love this song? It is definitely an earworm or maybe an ear maggot. maybe an ear leech? Whatever it is, I can't stop singing it, and it makes my neighbors highly agitated. Bootlegged in LA captures the true essence of seeing ICP live. If you make it to the end of this concert, you're either all in or the F out. Bootlegged attacks like a brain-infecting virus. It will definitely leave you questioning your juggalo orientation. Only those who embrace it will be able to stomach their next endeavor. Are you kids still with me? Hey, wake up, wake up! Bowling balls from 2004. Believe it or not, despite their notoriety as horrorcore kingpins, Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope have only ever made one slasher flick, and it is a short one. They play innkeepers at a spooky Airbnb in this 22-minute music video. It celebrates Motel Hell, Psycho, and the Hunchback of Notre Dame, while throwing out massive props to Michael Jackson's Thriller. The boys are huge MJ fans, but don't worry, it never gets that ambitious. The movie is the type of sticky cellophane cornball you hate to get in your pumpkin at Halloween. Think airplane run through a meat grinder. There are some gruesome sights to behold, for sure. One scene is so realistic, I had to cover my eyes. Bowling Balls gets a C- because I don't ever need to see it again. Thank Clownzilla that it's only the length of an average sitcom episode. I'm not sure I could have stomached 90 minutes of this, but it does segue nicely into our next piece of clown cinema. Evil Bong from 2006. Comedy legend Tommy Chong stars in this ICP classic that yet again doesn't really have much to do with Jay and Shaggy at all. The story follows a college nerd and his magical friend into a bizarre alternate reality. We're including it here because Insane Clown Posse does appear on the soundtrack with their song I Like It Like That, which got its own music video. Evil Bong is dumb, it's rude, it's crass, it's definitely for juggalos, mostly harmless, sometimes funny. I give it a B- for never being boring, which is more than I can say for the next title on the Dirtball marquee. I'm sorry, class, there sure are a lot of Insane Clown Posse movies. Golly. Sit your cheeks down on the electric grill, if you will, for horrifying tales from beyond the nether void. It's the Chronicles of the Dark Carnival, an anthology movie featuring 3 horror fantasy shorts inspired by ICP's long-running series of concept albums. Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope play their own version of the Crypt Keeper in these campfire fairy tales that include Mad Professor, Joke Ya Mind, and the much-feared Boogie Woogie Woo. Poor production value kept Insane Clown Posse from officially releasing this bizarre oil slick and toothpaste spit. They did press a limited number of DVDs, handing them out like Halloween candy at the 2013 gathering of the Juggalos. It is 80 minutes of cheap excitement and dollar store energy. Once you see it, you'll understand why Sci-Fi dumped it directly into their own nether void. It's hard to watch, but I did have fun seeing Jay and Shaggy playing horror host. This gets a big fat J for Juggalos only, though it's perhaps not the roughest road on this journey. That distinction goes to Death Racers 2008. Move over, Jason Statham. Jay and Shaggy are here to run your butts down in Asylum's death race mockbuster. The 2 clowns play themselves and are the best part of this cheesy action disaster, which was always destined for Granny's discount bin. The boys do get to drive a pimped out ice cream truck that is customized with meat grinders, machine guns, and all the bling bling found in Detroit. But ICP aren't in this movie much. It does uphold their cheap gorecore aesthetic. How did ICP get entangled in this mess? The pair joined the project as a favor to their friend director Roy Nyram, but also so they could brush up on their acting skills as they prepared for the impending Big Money Hustlers sequel, Big Money Rustlers. Death Racers isn't associated with ICP's Psychopathic Records label. They basically did it for laughs, even though they knew it would be quote-unquote garbage. Those are Violent J's words, not mine. It's not as good as Jason Statham's remake, and it's not as good as Sylvester Stallone's original cult classic. Not gonna lie, I found this very hard to sit through. It gets a big fat F+ for being a fantastic waste of my time. Knowing it was a disaster, the boys decided on more of a sure thing for their next cinematic endeavor. Anyone in the class bored yet? You're not gonna want to get up just yet. We've got some exciting ICP news coming your way. With 2009's A Family Underground, shockumentary director Paul Anderson returned to revisit ICP's biggest fans over a decade later with another official documentary. This one delves into the 2008 gathering of the Juggalos. Two Live Crew, Ice-T, Afro Man, 3-6 Mafia, and WWE legend Rowdy Piper all make an appearance. A Family Underground is yet another love letter to those folks who keep pumping money into Jay and Shaggy's pockets. Someone gotta pay for all that Fago somehow. The highlight here is an English couple who get married by Violent J. We also learn what it truly means to be a juggalo. So what does that mean? Well, let me tell you, it means you'll be covered head to toe in sticky sugar water for 5 out of the 7 days in a week. A Family Underground is a nice C+ effort, but I'm not ready to run off and join the Juggalo circus just yet. Now, we've finally reached the best of the best, ICP's biggest and most rewarding movie, Big Money Rustlers from 2010, the official sequel to Big Money Hustlers, which only took them a decade to make. This Western is actually a prequel and takes us back to the 1800s for a showdown between Sheriff Sugarwolf and Big Baby Chips. While bigger, better, and crazier than its predecessor, Hustler still upholds the cardboard production value and 70s vibe of the original, only with a whole lot more cameos this time around. Twisted return along with Jason Mewes of Jay and Silent Bob fame, Sylvester Stallone's ex-wife Brigitte Nielsen, sitcom legend Jimmy J.J. Walker, Boondocks Ron Jeremy, Tarantino favorite Tom Sizemore, Vanilla Ice, and the iconic David Yao of Skating Polly music video fame. Wow, what a cast of weirdos! Frequent collaborator Paul Anderson stepped in to replace Hustlers director John Cafiero, which proved to be beneficial. This production was a lot less complicated and a lot more organized than Big Money Hustlers. The gang got their shiz together and knocked this one out of the park. Just 1 year after Big Money Rustlers arrived, ICP fans received yet another in a long line of visual love letters with the short film American Juggalo. It is a snapshot of this often mocked and misunderstood subculture once again taking place at the gathering. This was all well covered in A Family Underground. I didn't need to see this all again. After watching just 22 minutes of these kids party, I felt the grime on my skin pounding on my chest to get rid of the dumpster cough residual. Trust me, you'll want to jump into a blazing hot tub for a good couple of hours after this one is over. It gets an S for soap. Bring some, you're gonna need it. This shoves us directly into American Psycho Tour from 2015. Patrick Bateman ain't got nothing on Jay and Shaggy. While we've already gotten 3 official documentaries, this one showcases Twisted and ICP on tour together. This wicked ride takes us backstage for a look at all the painted chaos. Nothing is off limits when it comes to riding around with the Hatchet family. The band stormed through 35 cities in 35 days, and we get to see Twisted's highly publicized arrest in Florida. It is an endurance test. If you're not a juggalo by this point, American Psycho Tour is going to really try your patience. It's fine for hardcore fans, but kind of unnecessary if you're just passing by. Been there, done that. That brings us to the weirdest and most out-of-place entry on this list, Family from 2018. After years of being called the worst band of all time and being hated by a majority of the American record-buying public, ICP started getting recognized in the mainstream, and dare we say even gained a little respect by 2018. Jack White had collaborated with the duo, Workaholics devoted an entire episode to going to the gathering, and now here writer-director Laura Staniel was basing a legit movie on the ICP fanbase. Family follows an emotionally stunted aunt who bonds with her 13-year-old ICP-obsessed niece, a little girl who wants nothing more than to run away and join the Juggalo circus. We get to see Orange is the New Black's Taylor Schilling in that iconic black and white clown makeup. It also gives us a quick cameo from Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope. Several ICP songs are included on the soundtrack. Family is rated R, but younger teens will get a kick out of it. This is a gateway drug into the Juggalo juggalo lifestyle in terms of heart and production value, this is, hands down, the best entry in the Juggalo movie catalog. It also gives us Natasha Lyonne as a juggalette. Never thought I'd see that. Family gets a solid B for boy, that wasn't so hard to sit through. I kind of enjoyed it myself. Now, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the 2020 animated Mystery Inc. movie Scoob, where juggalos are painted as villains who bully Shaggy and Scooby, trying to steal their Halloween candy. It shines a nasty light on the fan base, painting them as obnoxious jerks. Unlike Kiss and Weird Al Yankovic, Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope have never gotten their own proper appearance in the ScoobyDoo universe. But Shag and Scoob meet ICP sounds like something we could really rally behind. Whoop whoop. Whoa, almost caught me turning full juggalo there for a second. Let me catch my breath. What was that? Overall, I like Scoob. It might be my favorite Juggalo movie so far, but that said, I am a huge Blue Falcon and Dynamite fan. I give Scoob an A for awesome. Now, while there are a ton of ICP documentaries, if you only watch one, make sure it's the United States of Insanity from 2021. It is basically all the other docs wrapped up with a little something extra. If Christopher Guest and Rob Reiner had made this movie, it would be hailed as one of the top comedies of all time. While it rehashes elements from Shockumentary and A Family Underground, the United States of Insanity is really about ICP's fight against the FBI, who officially declared juggalos a gang. The story chronicles a landmark case that became a bellwether of change for First Amendment rights in America. We watch as Jay and Shaggy take their fight straight to Washington in a march at the White House, where an estimated 1,500 juggalos gathered in front of the Lincoln Memorial to organize a concert and all-day rally in protest of their gang classification. The production value on this one is high and shiny like diamonds. There is a real craft to the storytelling. Even if you don't enjoy their art, you can't help but side with them in their fight as it plays out on screen. Though I must note, Twisted, who have distanced themselves from ICP, have a different story to tell that puts a spin on the narrative, calling everything we see on screen into question. We'll let you decide who is telling the truth on that one. And now, for one movie that didn't get made. Big Money Thrusters is the third and final chapter in ICP's Big Money trilogy, though we may never see it happen. Twisted's absence is apparently a big part of the problem. Originally conceived in 2015, plans were set in motion for another Big Money sequel, this time set in outer space. Because why not, right? Shaggy says the movie was canceled because they no longer have the same people from the first two movies in place, hinting that Twisted's departure was the sole reason for the film's collapse. At the time of those comments, 2 Dope did promise that more ICP movies were on the horizon. Will we ever see Big Money Thrusters? Maybe. Okay, I watched every Insane Clown Posse movie, I think. If I missed anything, let me know in the comments below. Now, class, it's time for a quick recap. I'm judging these all on the merits of ICP and nothing else. The Fear. It's a little wooden, not much ICP to go around. I did enjoy the soundtrack. Shockumentary. This old crusty infomercial is a great starter kit for anyone who's wondering what a juggalo is and how to become one. Big Money Hustlers. A juggalo horror picture show? See this one with a crowd if the opportunity ever arises. Bootlegged in LA. Need that ICP concert fix? Dust off your VCR and throw this one on for some headbanging classics. I do really like that song Homies. Bowling Balls. It made me sick, but that theme song is kinda catchy. Evil Bong. A dorm room staple that pairs well with How High and Half Baked. The Chronicles of the Dark Carnival. Cheap, ugly, and boring. I'm betting half of these DVDs were used as frisbees at the gathering. Death Racers. 100% pure garbage, but I'd watch it again mostly for Joey and Joseph. A Family Underground. It's cute, it's fuzzy, it's for juggalo families. big money rustlers. This is the crown jewel in the ICP film catalog. It is the only Insane Clown Posse movie you really need to see. American Juggalo. I've seen enough Juggalo documentaries at this point, I'm going to pass. American Psycho Tour. An intimate portrait of two bands at the height of their power before it all imploded. A fascinating watch if you've made it this far. Family. I like Taylor Schilling. I like her better in clown paint. I want her to be my juggalette. Taylor, hit me up. Scoob. Good movie, but let's give these juggalos a break. Halloween candy stealing bullies? Nah, son, them's good kids. And finally, the United States of Insanity. Quality-wise, it's definitely the best doc of the bunch and will appeal to a wide range of people, especially those who care about art and freedom of expression. Maybe you don't agree with what ICP is selling, but we can all agree that this movie carries an important message, and it shows the good that can come out of any fan base. So, the big question is, did watching all of the Insane Clown Posse movies turn me into a juggalo? Maybe, or maybe it's just a weekend thing.